Hey, I'm Stephen Glosser.
And I'm Megan Pikert.
Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast.
A podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood.
A season that's marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions.
Join us for some real conversations as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life.
We're so glad you're here, and we'd love to have you join our little Going Somewhere podcast community. Follow us on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast and join the conversation.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks for listening. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Sorry. Hey everybody, welcome to Going Somewhere podcast.
What is going on?
We're just gonna leave it.
Okay.
You guys know where you're at.
It's so good.
You clicked on it because you know you're trying to listen to the Going Somewhere podcast. I'm here with Megan as always, and today we have a very special guest who made me giggle. Setareh.
Hey,
What's up?
I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have
Nothing much.
you. We get the 2-for-1 today. Who else is joining us today, Megan?
I think it's our youngest guest ever in the history of the podcast is your daughter, Liv.
She's a really young adult. 2 months. But you know what? We all start somewhere
Yeah,
in a young adulthood, and
we're all going somewhere.
exactly.
We all
She's
start-
going wherever I'm going.
That
Right
is
now.
that is true. But hey, we're so glad that you're here because I think not only, I think you're like me. You probably don't claim young adulthood
No.
like full on, but
Yeah.
you were a young adulthood. You were a young adult.
Totally. And it wasn't that long ago that I was considered a young adult.
No.
I think honestly, I would be considered a young adult if I didn't have a whole lot of kids.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's
You
just
know?
let's just dive into some stats
Yeah.
and some, the background overview of who you are and who all lives in your house.
Sure. I'll go in reverse. I think that maybe works better. But yeah, I am 33 years old, so not super young. But
Shout out.
yeah, woo woo, Jesus year, I've heard it's called.
The year he died.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah. Okay. Right.
he rose again. That was a good year for him.
Yeah. That's true.
Anyways, I have been married for 10 years coming up this fall to Mitch, my college sweetheart. And we have 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl, all under the age of 6. So it's busy. I work in like leadership development, so that's really fun. But before all of that, I grew up in a really small town in Minnesota, went to school at UND for a long time. Wasn't really good at
Wait,
school.
how long?
I don't actually think it was that long in comparison, but I went for my undergrad and it took me 4.5 years. And then,
Oh, that.
I did elementary ed, and during student teaching, I was like, yeah, absolutely not. This is not for me. So then I actually was going to the Career Center to try to get my resume where I could finagle education into a different career. Like, I don't know if Epic, they do medical records, and they had like a trainer job opening. So I was trying to finagle like elementary ed into like the medical records job market.
Right.
But I bumped into an old mentor, and she said, why don't you like go back to school for your master's in higher education, like student affairs focus? And she's like, I was a super involved student. She's like, you can do that as a career. And so I was like, okay. So then I went back to school for 2 more years and got my master's.
Nice.
Yeah. And now I kind of use it, but not really.
Yeah. I think we can circle back on that because I think that you said something that is, I think, relevant to, I think a lot of young adults get to the end of college and are like, shoot,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do this anymore.
It's kind of crazy that you tell like a 18, 19-year-old, all right, pick what you're doing for the rest of your life and hope for the best. Because like I could barely like pick what I wanted for lunch at the age of 18, let alone what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. So
I know that was my shoe tying year. 18, that's where I figured that out,
honestly,
let alone
you were
career
wearing
path.
slip-ons until then.
Crocs.
I've heard that. Wink. It's all right. Well,
What did you want to do when you were 18? Like what both of you, like 18 years old?
I was in school for physical therapy for
Okay.
1 whole year.
What was like the pull? Like what made you go like, I'm going to major in physical therapy?
Well, I former athlete.
Shout out.
Shout out me. No, I like played a lot of sports, and I just thought it was like a cool. I thought it would just be like hanging out with athletes and, like just being around sports. So I'm like, yeah, physical therapist. Like, I'm smart enough-ish in high school, but then I got to college, and luckily I had my roommate and I were in the same classes because she studied super hard. She would do like the study guide, and then I would quiz her, which was how I studied for our tests. Otherwise, there wasn't a lot going on.
Let me help you study for this test.
Oh, Courtney, you need me to read this to you?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess. She'd be studying and I'd fully be napping. Like, we had this thing. I was a really bad student. I was a really fun person, but bad student.
I think, yeah. I think we're similar in a lot of ways, Starry. And so I think that's one of them. This is where I shout out Alyssa Tubner for helping me get through college.
Shout out Alyssa.
Shout out Alyssa.
Mm-hmm. She's good stuff.
Wait, why? What'd she do?
She did the work. Like she would do like the study guide. Like instead of me digging into the books and figuring it out, she would create a comprehensive study guide and send it to me and be like, here you go. And I'd get an A on the test and relied fully on her. And then group stuff, she just ran with it, you know.
I think I
she
need
did
to
what
let
she
you guys,
does now.
I was that person. I made the study guides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
makes
got
sense why
other
we're
people
friends
through.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all tracking.
We're good balance.
This is, I mean, it's basically like, how our jobs work together too, Megan. You know, like you kind of do it.
She's making that face, like the emoji with the big teeth.
You heard it here. I'm recording that. I'm using that later.
On record.
On record.
Yeah.
No, but you do a great job with making things detailed, which is not my gifting. But what did when you were 18, what did you want to be when you grew up, Megan?
I was going to be a teacher, always, no matter what. And for reasons, I think I loved school. And so I wanted to be a teacher for that reason, but also a lot of other people told me I would be a really good teacher. So then I just was like, well, if everyone thinks that, I guess I'll do it. And also funny stories in high school, I used to get confused for a substitute teacher by like other people on staff at our school, which is just like, why?
Why was that so happening? Young?
I know. Well, yeah, it was weird, but it
I would have
happened
thought
multiple
that maybe
times.
they thought you were like in elementary school or touring.
Ouch. No, I like
really
vividly
gifted.
Several times. Someone would be
What
like,
in the world?
Hey, what's your name? I'm subbing here, Miss. And I was like,
because you ran
Megan.
the place.
I did. I was an office aide. I also did work in our elementary. So
it wasn't like totally off.
yeah.
Do you ever think about like if we were all in a different universe where we were all 18 at the same time at the same school, like what the dynamics? Because Taylor and I talked about this. And Taylor and I would have not probably been friends. Like Taylor would have been too high energy, like too attention seeking at that stage. She's not like that anymore, but she was the one like every time there was anytime there was like a school function, she was doing something embarrassing on the stage. You know,
we would have been.
And I was like,
best friends.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You and Taylor.
You were like,
yeah.
Dress up, embarrass yourself.
Spirit Week, best week of the year.
Okay, I was more of like the casual, like I don't want to be uncool. That was me. But I was nice. I was a fringer.
Are you saying we were uncool?
No, you were the different kind of cool. I think
you were hilarious.
But you could be perceived the wrong way, probably. Like, what do you think people would say about high school Setareh? Like, if I were to like just go through your book and start calling people, what would they say?
Oh, I think I was mildly lovable. I kind of like played like the friends with different groups of people.
Yeah, okay.
Like role, but I'm sure there are people that would be like, she sucked. She wasn't very nice. Can I say sucked?
You already did.
Bleep it if you need to.
Yeah, I've never bleeped before. This could be a fun.
You never know.
But when you bleep a word that doesn't need to be bleeped, it actually sounds way worse.
Yeah, probably. Anyways.
She bleep. What did he say?
They're like, whoa, what did she do?
Yeah.
Clickbait. But because I was in athletics, like I'm from a small town, so whenever you're in season, you're like friends with those people.
Yeah.
But like I love to make people laugh. So I was kind of just like that friend. I played that role. I would say I was like friends with the really popular girls, but I wasn't necessarily on their level, but I was friends with them.
Yeah.
And like to this day, there's like some of my best friends, but so I mean, I don't know. I think I was mildly lovable.
Yeah.
I think Megan and I would have been friends because were you quiet then too, or quieter?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was planning the spirit week for you guys to partake in. Like, and that was my role in high
and
school.
that's where I think we would have gone different directions.
Yeah, I don't think we would have.
I would be
friends.
like, you're trying too hard.
Yeah, and I would have
let's
thought,
just enjoy life. Let's have fun.
Yeah. And I would have thought, that's annoying. Do your stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Do your own work instead of emailing you a study guide to do the exam.
I for sure.
Yeah.
I think that.
Mm-hmm. I think that like
I'm glad we met at a different time because I think it works a lot better now.
You guys are a great team. But
Teamwork.
thank goodness you weren't. You're old and she's not. Thank goodness.
Well, even like Taylor and I, like we're a great team. I couldn't imagine life like without her and just how much fun it is. But in high school, the versions of us in high school, I don't think we would have like gravitated towards each other. But with you, Setareh, like what are some of the things in that kind of like you're on stage, you're bubbly, or like what is stuck, you know? Because I think your personality probably hasn't changed, but it's morphed and like it's developed and matured and all those things. So, like what's stayed and then what is different about you now? I think that's always fun.
I think what has stayed is like I still love the spotlight, which a lot of people won't admit because there's like vanity. They think it's like, oh, you're obsessed with yourself, or I'll joke. I do a lot of public speaking. Like in my job, I'm speaking in front of 40 people once a month, like running a leadership program with the help of a committee. But I'm okay being the person in front of everyone talking. And I have said like, yeah, I talk to hear my own voice, but you do still need to listen. And it's like, I still like to be goofy and loud and to make people laugh. I think the difference with like that girl and myself now is I'm like more stable. And so back then as like an athlete, I wanted people to feel welcome and I was trying to make them laugh and I was goofy, like walk into the gym and fake trip in front of the whole like bleachers to make people be like, and now I'm like the coach and I'm just like caring for the girls instead of trying to be the center of attention. Like I'm more of a rock than like a firecracker. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still like attention.
No, I think it's fun because like I'll
admit it.
But I think the person that is, you know, listening right now, that's me. Like I see myself or I hear myself in that. I think there is like a level of I don't want to be that person. You know, like I don't want to be the center. Like I don't want to be perceived as that person. How do you feel like you've managed that in healthy or unhealthy ways, like through your? Because I feel like you probably learned some things along the way to be where you're at, where you're like, no, I want that. I like that. I'm built for that. But it's not about me just having an ego.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think back then, a lot of the confidence was like a fake it till you make it persona. Like I was actually very insecure and would do stuff like that because it was like I would get this positive reaction and it would feed that a little bit of like, okay, people do like you, but then you could never turn it off because that's why people liked you. So you never got to be hurting. You never got to be like sad. And so it was just like, I'm always on, you know, it's like, oh, Setareh, you're so confident. It's like, yeah, but what about when I'm not? Like, where's the space for that? And so that's kind of the biggest thing now as like an adult is I get to also be vulnerable. And part of that is like, I don't always have to be like this high energy person, but I get to take the mask off and like be real with people, whether it's like on a small scale or a big one. And you can still be both kind of a thing. Honestly, don't remember the original question.
That's fair.
Did that make sense though? I look at Megan. We talk a lot about Megan and I like slow to speak, quick to listen, like that kind of stuff. I think that's shifted a little bit too as I've grown up. Of like back then I was just like, bleh. I still do that a lot, like word vomit, but
we're in a life group together, and I appreciate that, a gift about you, that you're quick to speak sometimes, because I'm like, come on, somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like the be comfortable in the silence thing. I can only do that to like a point. And then I'm like, someone needs to speak. And since I'm not leading the life group that we're in, I feel like I'm allowed to speak a little bit more. But then when I step into like a leading role, it's like, ooh, that tension, you just have to sit there quiet. And if you're like me who likes to speak, that can be really hard.
For sure.
Yeah, but I was in your life group. That's how we kind of first met, I guess, really. But that was actually really helpful because you were in the leadership position, but then you didn't just sit in the silence, you like called on us. You're like, Megan, what do you have to say? And I was like, I'm sweating, like there was no silence. It was like, nope, we're going to get the ball rolling. Like this is a discussion. And so it really like forced me to be immediately vulnerable instead of like shifting in the insecurity too. And like, oh, like, should I say it? Should I not? It's like, nope, you're just going to talk. Like it's okay to be vulnerable, to open up.
And it's like the only way to create that safe space, like I think it's important to like set the example. And I think I hopefully did that, was like share a little bit, but then just pulling people out and just saying, what do you think? Like forcing them to go into it. They get to decide their level of comfortability and how much and how deep they go, but you're at least giving them the floor. And I mean, you were great. Then we ended up leading together and then we ended up leaving. Well, you're still
We
there.
multiplied our life group, but I think you should tell what you said on the first night of your life group, because I just think it's funny now.
I like glance at Steven.
Yeah, I'm the life group coordinator at our church, so curious what our life group leaders are doing. Just kidding.
Well, we were doing a video series by Jenny Allen called Find Your People, and like full disclosure, I've never read the book. I'm not a big reader. I listen to things. Anyways, getting into it. But so we were doing this because I had read snippets and I had gone through, I love this concept, but the whole thing is like finding your people that you're going to do life with, like your friends, your closest confidants, whatever. So we start with our life group and I just said, my hope is that you find your people in this group. I'm not one of them because I didn't have the bandwidth at the time to be a person for more people. And it was, I mean, the first night was a lot bigger, so it was also way more daunting to think like 7 people are going to want me to be a part of their friendship and their community, and I did not have the capacity for that. And Megan said it was received well, so I feel good about it. But I think in doing that, it also just put the boundary.
Shout out Liv, making her first appearance.
She wants attention just as much as I do.
Yeah, well, I can piggyback
you
off
go,
of that
and I'll
too,
grab her.
because when you said that, I think one, it empowered me. Like I am responsible for my own community and building that intentionality. But I just think it's funny now because I consider you one of my closest friends, and you were like, I am not your people. Like your people are outside of this group, and I was like, nah, not me.
Well, I think that, I mean, it's, maybe I don't say it the exact same way as you, but that's something that I actually kind of teach our leaders, is to create the community, not be it, like, because like that's the temptation, is to, everything goes around and through that one person. And so I think it is really healthy when you can set the precedence from the get-go that this is, I'm creating the space for you to have. Are you shushing me? No, I'm just kidding. I know. I'm kidding. To create that space. But one thing I was going to go back on, and then Megan, you can ask other questions and go a different direction. But I think this isn't really on the topic that we like plan to talk about, but I think the transition, I think young adulthood, you're becoming a person, I mean, it's always become another person. That's a Masters of Disguise reference there. If you haven't heard that one. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's like a huge part of young adulthood, is you are really kind of transitioning from a version of you that in high school, there's a lot of expressions of who you are. And then a lot of young adults kind of go through a crisis period, and I think sometimes there's the natural reset. Cause I think for me, some of that self-worth stuff, that value stuff that you talked to, I resonated with, because like by making people laugh, by doing those things, it just kind of gave me a shot of like, and I remember feeling like carried a lot of weight of like what people thought of me, and I had to be a certain person around certain people because that's the version of me that they wanted. And when I came to college, even to like nicknames and everything, it just like brand new start. And so I remember that being really freeing, and not the sense of like, oh, I can be anybody I want, but thankfully I had really good mentors in my life and people that helped me become who God wanted me to be, and called things out of me. And I feel like that's still happening to this day. But what do you think that was like for you in the sense of that transition, and how important that was for you, and what you would say somebody kind of going through the metamorphosis right now?
Yeah.
Is that the right science word? I don't know. I cheated in science class in high school, so it's my bad.
I think similarly, like leaving high school, I wanted to like break out and find like new people. I wanted to make new friends. But it didn't like go well at first. Like it wasn't successful. I had a roommate at UND who we just like didn't click. And so then I was just in this identity crisis of like, well, now what? I thought I was going to meet my new best friend. Like, it's not that. Like, where do I go? I had great high school friends, but they were forging their own path. And I had kind of like said, like, I'm not coming with you. And then once I was like failing, I was like, do you guys have room for me? And it was kind of like, no, like they didn't do that. I started getting lunch with them, and they made me feel like welcome. But I still felt like I was like missing like who I was and where I was going. And so I think the biggest like piece of advice, or like the transition I did that helped, was like getting plugged in with like student org groups that I thought would propel me towards what I wanted, right? So I did like a college ministry group. I did Greek life. I did like a lot of different things that I was like, this is going to help me through that change that I wanted from high school to college. Like, I was kind of like the wing woman in high school, and I wanted to be main character, you know, which like I realized was not the point, you know, but I got to be like the person I wanted. Not to say that has not changed since that transition from high school to college, because then in college I met my now husband, and then the transition happens again, because you go from being a single person, even when you're dating, like you're not as locked down, to now all of a sudden you're someone's like wife. And what are you doing? How do you do that? What does that look like? I can't just like go hang with the girls like I used to, you know. I was only responding to myself. I now had to like think about another person all the time. I'm like, boys, ew, I had to share a bathroom. No, but yeah, I think you said something that I find very valuable, and it was like mentorship. And you found like awesome men that like pushed you in the right direction. I think that's a big part of my story as well. And I still look at that. Megan, I look at her as a mentor in my life. Getting to know you and Taylor better has been like a friendship. It's a friendship, but it's like almost like a mentorship.
Well, even when I said that, I wouldn't have considered anybody but Brad my mentor. You know, it was friends like that just were a little ahead, that were even just ahead in certain areas, that were an example, that dated differently, that treated family differently, that wanted to reach lost people differently. So yeah, and that's like that's just a huge piece. And I think what I started forming in college was like really my faith, because I grew up in like a church household. We went to church, we went to Sunday school, you know, I was confirmed. I went to Bible camp all throughout high school, and like knew the gospel, and I knew what it meant to like give my life to the Lord. But every time I would come home, I didn't know how to walk in it. Like, I didn't know how to read the Bible. I just was like all feelings-based faith. And so then when the feelings went away, I was just low, and I was like making mistakes and finding my identity in wrong things. So college was like where my faith like solidified. I think like that firm foundation actually started being built. And I look at some of the things that I was like leading before, I really feel like God started to get into the cracks of my life, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, because that was you. I wasn't doing any of that, you know. Like, I was on summer missions, and I was just still trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, my stomach just growled.
Just blame it on Liv. I don't know.
Oh, girly. But yeah, I think that was like a big piece of college too. And like you said, those friends that pushed me towards it. Like I had a friend that I met through college ministry who didn't go to my same school, but through the college ministry, we went to South Carolina together. And we just talk about how that was such a God thing because she was super antisocial. Got me as a roommate. So whoopsie. But she was super solid. Like she knew the Bible. And I got to just ask questions and she was able to answer them. She was raised in a really solid household. And I was able to break down some of her like past friendship hurt because I just forced her to love me. She remembers a moment where I was like, we're going to be friends whether you want to be or not. And she was like, no, we're not. She literally says, she was my maid of honor at my wedding. She said, she met me and said, I will never talk to this girl after this summer. Like, absolutely not. And to this day, we still chat. She, stood at our wedding. And she's one of those people that she just taught me the Bible. And now I get it. And now I get to be that for other people, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned because I think it's so normal, but I think young adults don't necessarily know how to navigate all the time. But you talked about like a feeling-based faith and what that's like, and I think a lot of young adults that are experiencing their faith are actually like making a personal relationship with the Lord right now for themselves can be struggling with that. And so can you just dive into that? How did you walk through that? I mean, you talked about having someone to just ask questions to, which is a big part of my story too. And but how did you navigate like the unknown season before you met her, or when you guys went back and weren't at the same schools anymore, and you didn't have someone right there? How did you walk it out and make it more than feelings-based faith?
That's such a good question. And I do think I had more people who were willing to pour into my life who had like a firm foundation. I just don't think I realized that it was a feelings-based faith. Like I was like kind of clueless, Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think it's still something that I have to wrestle with just because when you are that like really high energy person, when the energy is down and it feels, air quotes, feels like God is far away, I think it's new that I have to remind myself that it's not. Like he's still right there, even when I can't feel him. Alicia Britt-Choli, who shout out coming up here in the fall, she made a comment like a masterpiece is still a masterpiece in the dark. And so just like that, my faith, God, Jesus is still Jesus, even in the dark seasons. But I think going back to your question, like how did I kind of seek that after we left and parted ways for the summer? I think I just kept asking questions. Also shout out your last episode, finding a church base or home church. What did you guys call it?
Finding church home.
Church home. I did not do that in college, not well. And that is one of the things I would like, if I could go tell myself, like, here's how you solidify your faith. Here's how you get deep. Go to a church and stay at a church. I would hop around because I had college ministry on Tuesday nights. And for me, I was like, well, that is church. Well, not really, because we're all the same age. There's about 4 staff members who are in a different season, and they can't pour into every single kid, So it wasn't until after college that when I finally plugged into a church and started to serve and be a part of the body and actually live in community with other believers, it was then that the feelings-based, the feelings were still there. When it was high, it was great. When it was low, it still was hard. But I still turned to scripture more of okay, reassurance. And I journaled a lot because then I could look back at hey, he was still there. Even when you didn't feel it, he was still there. And so, yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
Oh, it's cool. I the feelings-based thing is something a lot of young people, but new believers, they feel, especially if they come to faith in a more of a charismatic where there is more likely going to be emotional experiences. Because then some people, I guess even people I've walked through, battling faith later on in life, I think a lot of that is part of the confusion is, the enemy is just like, it was all emotional. It was never spiritual, which I don't really think is usually the case. I just think that like our emotions are a beautiful expression and aspect of us, but they're more symbol of what's going on. And, so I think it's hard to navigate when that isn't the case. Cause then you're like, well, that was all that it was just like an emotional feeling.
Right.
But I think that in my experience, it's just been so much of, like you said, holding on to the anchor and the truth and journaling, that is a main benefit of journaling is that you can read old prayers and see them answered, or you can read old challenges and be like, whoa, God brought me through this. Or you can say like, hey, God was still present in that season and he's going to be present in this season. And so I think that's like a huge takeaway for anybody listening is to start to like look back and just see what God's done and remind you of that.
And I think, we talked about how I wasn't really good at school. So like reading scripture and like reading from like solid authors and things like that, like just wasn't appetizing to me. Like I wasn't a reader. So studying it was harder for me, And so I would say like people probably who have the same personality type that I do, like really social, really outgoing, my prayer life was super strong. But the only thing, like I didn't have scripture stored away in my heart so that when I was praying and I couldn't feel it, I didn't really know, like I was still at the foot of the cross and I was still there being like, hey, that's all I got today, because I didn't have scripture to like back it. But I would just like encourage that person who maybe isn't the biggest like scholar. You don't have to sit down and read a whole book of the Bible every time. Like you can sit with a couple verses and then journal to like store it away if that helps you. But like there's no requirement. Like it's not like a class where you got to read 4 chapters and then you're going to get a grade unless you are in, school for that. Yeah. But which that's on you. That's on you. But I wish someone also would have said that to me of like, there's no like best way to do it. Just start somewhere. Hey, I really like the book of Mark. Just read a couple verses before you go to bed. And I think that's like how it became exciting. Like the word came alive to me when I just kept going back. And now I like enjoy it. And it doesn't feel like homework. That's what I read it as, was like, oh, I have to read this or I'm not going to know. I'm not going to be a good Christian. I'm not going to be able to fight. Now I'm like, this is the coolest story ever because it's like real life. Like this is people's lives. They lived it and it's still like, alive today. So just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. And I feel like reading your Bible is when your faith becomes like a two-way relationship too, of like when you're praying and you're bringing your request before the Lord, like that's great. But I think there's a turning point when you realize like he does speak back. And I remember one of my mentors telling me like, don't expect God to speak to you if your Bible's closed. And I was like, ooh, okay. So that's how we get to learn like his voice and how he's directing you, or if you're praying for a job opportunity or relationship or something, like you might be reminded of scripture that you've read. And so I just feel like that is a turning point for me too, of like, oh, this is not all on me to make this relationship with God work. Like this is not like he wants to talk to me just as much as I want to talk to him.
Amen. Mic drop.
Yeah. I also wanted to circle back to something too. We were talking about feelings-based faith. And I just wanted to say, like, feelings aren't bad. So I don't want anyone to, like, be listening and be like, oh, my gosh, I'm feeling, like, a certain way during worship or something. Like, feelings aren't bad. Jesus had feelings. God has feelings. But our hope is not in our feelings. Yeah. And so I just wanted to put a disclaimer as well.
And go ahead, Stephen. You're a pastor.
You're the guest. But, no, I was just going to say, I think it's more along the lines of, like, are we just chasing the feelings, or are we chasing God and chasing him and truth and all that? Because I think the feelings do come, and people are more prone to the feelings than others are. But I think when we begin to chase it, I think what I see a lot in young adulthood is the church hopping stuff. It's like, well, this church I like I feel worshiped more. Like I feel more here, so I'm going to go here. And then something changes, something shifts, and something else comes up or pops up, and they're like, well, no, that feels better now. Or like the relationships feel better. And I think that's the challenge in just church is just like planting yourself, and there's going to be really awesome times and really not awesome times, and people that you love leave, and people that you love stay, and people that you love don't love you back, and all the things that tend to happen in relationships and in a church setting. Like that's what I think where the growth happens, is that planting.
Yeah. If people are listening to this and they haven't listened to the last episode, they need to. I listen to the podcast always, but I just think that was such a good, I wish that had been around when I was a young adult. Like I didn't know how to find a home church because I came from a small town where there was only, 3 options, and you just went where your parents went, kind of a thing. And I think my faith would have been solid faster had I not hopped from church to church based on my feelings. Like, oh, I like worship here today. Okay. Well, then, the moment I didn't like something, I just dip out. And so it was just really flighty. But
yeah,
I agree. Feelings are not the end. Like, feelings are
right.
Great. I still love to
Shout out feelings.
Shout out feelings. Sponsor Dad. Just kidding.
This episode is brought to you by
Feelings. Sadness. Just kidding. Anyways.
What's your favorite I'm just kidding.
Emotional?
No, I feel, I know this conversation could go in a billion directions. I think Setareh is just a come back on the podcast type of person. But I think one thing that we wanted to talk about is just that feeling. Oh, there it is again.
Yep, feeling.
Sponsor, shout out. Not paid. But is the feeling of being left behind, and not in like the end times revelation.
Yeah.
Mom and dad
Scary.
clothes on the ground. Now I'm lost. That was me. If nobody grew up in that we can talk about that another time.
You're old. That's not our generation anymore, I think.
What, the rapture isn't your generation?
No, but that series.
No, but that series.
We were talking about it before we started, and all I could think of was like, Megan has no idea because she was 7 years old.
Core fear for
Couldn't
me.
read.
If you would have asked me like when I was 10, like what's your biggest fear? It was for sure that one day I would go out and my dad's clothes would all be on the ground, and I'd be like, oh no.
I didn't grow up in that kind of a household, so I was living free, like no fear here, but I get it. I heard about it in college, and I'm so sorry for your experience.
Yeah, that was, I just wanted to.
And also if you were
avoid
10, Megan like probably wasn't born yet, so.
No, she wasn't.
Shout out young adults.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out being old. I love all
out.
the shout outs today, you guys. But back to where we were.
Yeah.
That feeling of like I'm falling behind everybody else. I think of things like finances, like you hear somebody talking about what they're investing in, or you hear somebody talk about the Roth IRA, and you're like,
I didn't know what that was until I was like 27.
Yeah, you're like, who's Roth?
Because my husband was like, hey, are you investing? And I was like, are you? Isn't that your job? Whoops.
No, you guys brought up finances. I'm just waiting for you to change the topic because I feel anxious.
You're uncomfortable.
Money.
I just came from my annual like financial advisor meeting, so I'm like, ready to talk money, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, no.
Finances and relationships and all those things. It's like so easy in young adulthood.
Yeah. And I think, so we were talking about this a little bit for me, and I think a lot of females probably, it's a lot of like relationship based feeling behind. And I don't think that's to count out like the male listeners, because I think there are topics like finances or even relationships and different things like that. But I, as a young adult, was just so eager for the next phase of my life. So when I was, in college, I thought I was going to go into full-time ministry, and I was just so eager for college to be over so I could jump right into like my quote unquote like career. But in that, I also wanted to get married. So I was just like so eager. I remember I was involved with a ministry that did like, they called it Summer Project back in the day. And it was like 100 college students living right off the beach, doing life. And I was there as like a student staff. And so all the kids are my age, all the people. but you're not supposed to date them because you're working, like you're on staff. And I just remember telling my friend, like, so many eligible men that I can't even marry. And then ironically, that's where I met Mitch. So we did get married. Broke the rules. We had a permission. It's fine.
I didn't know that though.
Yeah, that's our love story. There's like a psychology theory or something where if you just like put yourself around someone enough, they'll fall in love with you. So
Is that what you did?
everywhere Mitch turned, here I am. I was just always there. Not kidding.
Just programming his brain
Uh-huh.
to look for you.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked.
You
We're
got
married
4 kids
10
now?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Mitch.
Wait, where's Mitch from? Like where?
Marshall, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
And he
so-
went to Concordia. So we like, the craziest thing is like we have like, what do they call that? Like the hidden strings.
Invisible string?
Yeah. One of my very best friends from college, like we stood in each other's weddings. They were Facebook friends because they were both
Shout out Facebook.
athletes.
Oh.
Shout out Facebook, not an ad. But so like she would wish him a happy birthday, like on his Facebook wall before we ever met, because we met later in college. So when she found out who I was dating, she's like, I think I know him from freshman year.
No way.
And he was a punk. Believe it or not. You guys know him. He's quiet now. Not
That's
then.
hilarious.
So anyways, the feeling of like being behind, like I was always just like longing for that next phase of life. So when I was single, I wanted to be in a relationship. And as soon as we started dating, I wanted to be married. And then as soon as we got married, I wanted kids and I was going to be a stay-at-home mom and all these things. And the biggest thing looking back is I forgot to enjoy the seasons that I was in. And I don't have regrets. I tell people like I still lived a great life and I really enjoyed it. But the advice I give people like, oh, you're getting married, just take a beat. You know, you talk about finances and Mitch would if I was giving this advice to someone, he wouldn't actually kill me. Don't call the cops.
Old Mitch is coming back up.
Yeah. Woo. Take a vacation, and if you can't afford it, put it on a card. Like, I know that's horrible financial advice.
You're a guest. You can say whatever you want.
I know that's horrible
We'll
advice.
do a financial episode later, guys. We'll get back on track. Just kidding.
It doesn't have to be that. It could be a weekend away, but like we were really, really broke. We were both still student. We got married right out of college. Both went straight into grad school. We're living off of stipends. I worked for housing, so we had free housing and literally lived in a sorority one of our first years of our marriage. We just didn't have any money, and I think we were really trying to steward that time well to start paying off our debt and, you know, do the things, but like we never traveled together in our marriage. Like we never really went on a trip. We took our honeymoon. That was the one thing we ever did. And I was so eager to have kids that then kids came along. And once you have kids, like they're there forever. Which is great. And I love them
as
all.
you're
That was a
holding one.
lifetime warranty.
As
you
I'm
got
literally
on them.
holding one of them, but travel is different. Like we're trying to plan a trip for spring break of our kids, and originally we were going to go to Arizona. Then we're like, that's too far. Then we were going to go to Colorado. We're like, that's too far. We might go to the cities. Stay tuned. We'll update the pod, but it just changes everything.
Yeah.
And so I just like, I wish someone would have grabbed me by the shoulders and just said, like, look around. This is the life you prayed for. And you can keep praying for the future, and that's going to be beautiful. And one day that will happen, but don't miss the present. Because I just felt behind. Our friends were having babies already. I needed to catch up. Like, I'm not in the same season. How are we going to still be friends? And I just wish someone would have grabbed me by the shoulders and said, look around. You prayed for this. God has given you this life. Don't miss it. Because I mean, I did. It's kind of emotional. But I missed so much of my life. Like, just running towards the next thing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is something that I think is one of the biggest young adult traps that we can fall into is like thinking whatever's around the corner is going to be better than where I'm at now. And I think there's levels of that, of like, yeah, you get paid more, you have more freedom and flexibility when you know, but at the same time, I think that causes us to miss out on parts of our life. And, you know, you saying that it's emotional, I think is actually meaningful, because I think, again, I'm one that, it's a hot take. Megan knows it, but regret isn't bad in my opinion.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, she knows. Like, I just think living in regret is bad, but learning from regret and having regret is actually a real good propeller forward. And I think it positions you to speak into a lot of lives today, because you're able to share something that is vulnerable and emotional and difficult, you know, and now God's using what today is, you know, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people get to the end of the road and they just have a bunch of regrets that they never learned from. And so I think, I mean, you know, this is the heartbeat of the book that I'm writing, which is super fun. And it's going to be hopefully in everybody's hands this summer sometime, or fall or winter. But the idea is, like, I know, big gap.
Yeah, that's like kept getting longer.
What I've learned over the last few years is that books do not just show up on shelves. There's lots that goes into it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, it's the idea of that every day is worth living, and whatever day that we have today, there's a lot that we can see that we're not even seeing right now. And I think that's the really fun part of it. But is that something that, I know as we kind of wrap this up, but is that something that you've dealt with, or that you see in just like that idea of, because you are in your target audience of the podcast. That's what I always have to remind myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I know I have seasons that I've walked through that I do have regret in, that I wish I would have handled something different. But I also think, like you guys were mentioning, mentorship. I'm getting that advice at 23 right now, to look around, to make sure that you don't miss your life, to make sure that you don't necessarily not regret your choices, but make sure you're proud of what you've done. And so I think it's invaluable right now to hear that, and to, even though I've had the last 23 years to maybe carry some regret, make some different choices, I now have the next, hopefully, long life to live different. But I think we all go through it. I think we all wish we would have done something different, or wish we didn't walk in so much insecurity in a certain season, or were more confident in something and handled something different. So yeah, I think I can relate, but I appreciate just rhymed. But I appreciate just having, like, I get to hopefully walk a really solid path on the foundation that someone else has already walked and like built, and is generous enough with their time to offer wisdom and mentorship to someone younger than them.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here, like with the podcast, is create that space. And I think one thing I want to say too is it's not about YOLO, like you only live once, live carelessly, and, you know, have other regrets. It's more of just like live with a bigger perspective of time and of life in general, in the sense that it's not about just doing crazier things and making more like shocking memories. That it's more about like finding the memories in the mundane. It's finding the in the midst of this season, as much as going. I have friends that just got engaged in like the most beautiful place. I don't even know where they were, but I saw the pictures. I'm like,
Austria.
Wow.
Yeah, Austria. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, Taylor was in a bomber hat, lakeside on a fall day. It was, she's mad at me to this day for proposing to her
The bomber hat.
without any warning. But, you know, it's not about doing those things. If you have those opportunities, it's like, go for it. But because you don't have that doesn't mean that you can't have meaning. Because that's the thing that we look at our proposal. It's like, it was very meaningful to us, and we will never forget even the silly part of her wearing a bomber hat.
Yeah, like piggybacking off that, it's good to like go back when you have said like, oh wow, I kind of was like always looking ahead. So then once you realize you've done that, to stop and go back and be like, mark the moments that were really good, because I think we can get into the lie too that like none of it was good because I was always trying to get ahead, right? And then apply it now. Like I used to say, listen, having six kids. Whoa. I only have 4.
Prophetic.
Whoa, no, it's not. The Lord didn't hear it. He did. Having 4 kids under the age of 6, I used to be like, I am so excited for my 50s because my kids will be grown and it'll be like Mitch and I get to fall in love again, and just like revisit that like empty nester life. And then I kind of just like had this like slap in the face moment of like, you're doing it again. Like, you're forgetting to live in the life that you prayed for, that you literally sacrificed your marriage, your early years with kids, like all the things you sacrificed to be right where you're at. You're forgetting to enjoy it. And so once we learn, like once we click in, it's good to just pause again, you know, and don't forget to take that same advice in every season because it's always applicable.
Yeah. And I think it's just good. What you just said is good for everybody to hear, is that there isn't a season where it ends. Like there isn't a season where like we made it. Yay. Cause you get to that, you know, and this is something I've talked about before, is in parenting, it's like for the longest time, and I've always enjoyed jobs that I've had, but you do look forward to the weekend. It's like the weekend is coming. And I remember we had kids and it got chaotic and loud and stressful on the weekends. And then I was looking forward to Monday. And it's like, whoa, that changed. And then you have those moments where you're like, well, I can't wait. You know, we strategically had kids early. We had 3 years of just Taylor and I, but then, you know, but because the idea was like, yeah, it'll be fun to be 50 and have all the kids at college and stuff. But at the same time, like a big part of this is life is a mist and we are not guaranteed tomorrow. And so why, and when you're 50, it's, well, when I retire, when you retire, it's when the grandkids, you know, move closer. It's like always going to be there. But yeah, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so to choose this day, like to choose this moment of like, this is the best one I've got. Like, I want to make the most of it. And I see you doing that. Like, I know that I appreciate your vulnerability and your openness of like, here you are with 4 kids. And there are days, and I will be the first to say it too. There's days where it's like, whoa, we had this glimpse where 2 of our kids were gone with grandpa and grandma all week. We had 1, and just how much quieter it was. And it's like, whoa, that's going to be crazy when they're both in school. Like that was the thought we had this week, was Simon and Kinsley are both going to be in school next year. But it's like, no, but this year, what are the opportunities that we're just going to miss if we just long for that next one? And it's like these sweet moments with Summit every single morning. He's at our house till 12:30. He's playing with Rowan. Like their relationship's never going to be what it is today. So like, why rush past that for something later? Yeah,
exactly. When I'm coaching, I tell the girls, like, mark the moment because you're going to want to remember this.
Place your pins. That's my saying for that same thing. Marking moment.
Winking. This is in the book, probably.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But yeah, I just tell them like, mark the moment. And we kind of like skimmed over journaling a little bit, but like, if you're in the season of young adulthood where you're, you know, which I'm assuming you all are because you're listening to a young adult podcast.
Even if you're not, though, stay with us. We love you.
Yeah, because
anyways, Mom. Shout out, Mom.
Shout out Steven's mom. And mine, probably. She'll listen to this episode. Journal. I will die on the hill. Write the story of your life. And whether you type it in a keyboard or write it on paper, I'm a big like write it out on physical paper because your handwriting even changes like as you grow in life. Cool, yeah. But mark the moments. It doesn't have to be like, you know, novels. Just like if something big happens, like take note, because like you said, like we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And if you write out your life, like it's there, your legacy's there forever, and the people who come after you will get to look at it.
That's scary.
Which is cringy to me because my journals are cringe city, but
Mitch is so attractive.
Oh gosh. I thought he had a crush on my best friend, and so I literally broke my own heart.
Just roasted him.
He likes my friend and I'm never gonna get to love him. And we like literally 2 days later he's like, yeah, I really like you, I'd like to like pursue you. And I was like, okay. Yikes.
Scribbles out. Never mind, I never felt that way.
It's so cringy.
Well, I remember
not so good, though.
You told me once, Stephen, that your journaling changed when you started writing without fear of someone reading it. And that was like a game changer for me. I'm like, ooh, I got like 12 journals under my bed that are all scared of someone reading this one day. So they gloss over some things. And so it changed the game for me too of like, yeah, this is a processing tool, you know, like this is how I'm going to get through and be able to remember, like, these are for me.
Yep.
And so it really changed my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think not a fear of mine, but something that I think about quite a bit is, especially in ministry, where I get to have a relationship with a lot of people, and I get to play a significant role in a lot of people's lives, whether it's, you know, providing something, doing something. But I've been to so many funerals, and I think one of the things that I never want is my kids to be in the front row and for them to be like, who was that guy? Mm-hmm. Like, who, you know, we never got to know that guy. Like, we never, all these stories, you know, like I've been at one where it wasn't that way. Like Cal Thompson, his kids were in the front row and they were like amening because he was better at home than, like, they were like, oh, if they would have just known dad, you know? And I think that's something that has always stuck out to me as a motivator, is just like, I want them to pull people aside and be like, oh, you guys didn't even get the best part of him, you know? And I think that changes the way we live today. Even when we don't have a family, like, that was something that I heard first before I was even married. And it was an exercise where we went through and we're like, what will your parents say at your funeral? What will your siblings say at your funeral? It's kind of a morbid thing, but it's been a game changer for me, is what will the people I work with, what will this church say? What will, you know, my boss say? You know, what will the person that I have beef with right now say? You know,
I got a lot to say.
Beef.
Is the beef one resonated with
yeah.
you?
Yeah.
She got beef.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say, but you just, like, you lit something for a second and it's gone completely.
It's okay.
It's just a good word. It's like, what you're doing today truly matters, and sharing your story with the people around you. I remember.
Yes.
Community. You kind of touched on that. Like, what would your friends say? What would your family say? And I think that if you do that exercise, like showing your friends and saying, like, is this true of me? Because this is how I want to, like, serve and love you well. And if it's not, like, creating the friendships where they can be honest and say, like, yeah, this is true, but I don't see this often from you. And then moving into growth together, like, that's where true friendship is, like, really forged. You know, your family's going to be honest, and, like, your boss has to tell you your performance review. But, like, if you can have friends who will genuinely say, like, hey, that's not working. Or, you know, I think Megan and I have this kind of a friendship, like, how are you? Oh, good. You don't seem good. And then you get to, like, actually get into the, like, real stuff. That exercise would be good with someone like that. Like, a friend that is going to tell you, hey, that's your hope for your legacy. Not seeing it. How can I help you become that? How can I walk with you in that? Yeah. I would love for my boys to read, and girl, now that I have one of those.
Yeah.
Whoops. I would love for them to read.
She's sleep through a podcast fresh.
No, I'm making me really warm. I would love for them to read my journal someday, because they're really raw and really real. And I hope that I'm being that person for them now, but, like, when they get to be parents and they get to, like, because hopefully they don't read them till I'm long gone.
Yeah, we don't want to find it in the garage. I don't need them reading them now. Next week. Yeah.
Side note, my sister-in-law found my mother-in-law's journals, and she the diaries, and she let us read them. They were hilarious, and we still laugh about it to this day. She was doing the, like, no one's gonna read this thing, but sneaking out of the house. It was so great. If you're listening, I didn't say that. But you know, because I'm not afraid of them reading it, it's just really real, and I'm excited for them to see that side of me. Hopefully they see it now, but, you know.
No, that's good though. And I think I'm excited for them to read about the low moments too, and because I think there's going to be a point where they're like, "Oh, yeah, Dad went through this too," you know, or something similar, and he's okay.
Yeah. Saying this out loud too, you can probably hear her breathing now, but, like, Steven, Megan, and I have all walked through low moments. Like, our lives have not looked picture perfect. So if you're listening, because that just, like, laid on my heart really heavy. Like, if you're listening and you're like, wow, it sounds like they just had these, like, really clean stories. I would say, at least for myself, that's not true. And so I'm glad that I have that memory, but I'm also really glad that Jesus brought me out of it, and he's the only one that could. So if you're walking in a kind of a messy season of your life, because young adulthood is where the messy stuff happens often, like reach out to Stephen or Megan or me if you're local. See you at church. Because you don't have to stay in the messy season too. And the fork in the road is like, it's there. So, you know, your legacy can be something big. Mark the moment and move on.
Yeah. Forks in the road. Let's eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Time
know if
to
that
wrap.
was in a meeting, but
Yeah, we're getting a little goofy.
no.
But yeah.
Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Like, this is so fun.
Good.
Yeah, we could do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking me to join you. I was going to respond with, what took you so long? But because I think I asked if I could be on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We
Well,
here
I
now.
was- yeah.
We here now.
Yeah, I was looking at our text messages. We asked back in October,
Yeah.
Truly.
but we
That's
got
true.
you now. So.
It's been really fun. I
What-
just adore you guys.
Do you have any more questions, Megan?
Yeah, let's wrap it with our last question. If you were a 22-year-old self talking to yourself, what advice would you give?
I told you guys what I was going to say, and I'm going to say it. Girl, chill out. Chill. Take a chill pill. That's what we said in the 90s. I would just tell her, you're doing great, and life will come. Look around. Like, literally the theme of what we've talked about. Look around and see the life you've prayed for. It's all gonna be okay. So I would tell her to chill out, and that's it. Honestly, 2 words.
Great advice.
I love that. In closing, can I tell you guys a funny story quick?
Always.
It's a really quick one. So, things to not say to your mother-in-law for 500, please.
Oh my.
I told my mother-in-law to chill out one time,
Ooh.
and she's the best. She listens. She's going to be listening to this. I apologize. I think I apologize, but I definitely apologize. I was young and a punk, and you do not need to chill out. But she was driving a pontoon, and it was hard in the moment, and like it was stressful. It was like the waves and all that stuff. And I just opened my dumb mouth and I said, take a chill pill, which was not
That's
prescribed.
almost worse.
Even worse.
It wasn't prescribed. And so yeah.
Over the counter.
Yeah. But we're
Boat
good.
stuff
Love
is
you.
stressful.
It is. And
I'd like a boat.
I hadn't driven before, so I was just
You were driving?
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
So I was just like in
You
the
were giving
back with
unsolicited
sunglasses on,
advice.
sipping a Coke, be
He was
like,
a backseat-
take a chill pill.
Backseat driver.
Yeah, just
Waves are fine.
it's just an idiot. So that's my story.
That's all right.
No, chill out. I love that.
Yeah. Enjoy the life you're living. You know?
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to babysit, just kidding.
That's the first time somebody's used their platform on the Going Somewhere podcast to solicit babysitting. You
No.
can send requests, go to goingsomewherepod.com.
Leave it in
There
the
is
show
a
notes.
contact form.
My number will be...
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I also will just say this to 22-year-old me. 33-year-olds want to be cool still. And so just be nice to them.
We have a lot of self-seeking ending here. Like, babysit for me. Think I'm cool.
No, Megan just does that so well. She like doesn't make me feel lame.
Yeah.
And I just like, I looked at the 33-year-olds and I was like, you're dying.
That's
They're
because
not.
I was made to be
An
like a
old
grandma.
lady. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just
Which-
resonate with you guys.
From the last podcast, you were hanging out with the old ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah,
makes
that was-
sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's good. Well, let's land this plane.
Yeah.
We love you. Thank you for being on. We will have you on again. If you're listening and you're like, hey, the next time Setareh's on, I want her to talk about blank, let us know. There's places, goingsomewherepod.com, going to the Instagram, sending us a DM. I think that'd be fun. And also, if you want to make a shout out, you can go to those same places and make shout outs because that was the theme today. But thank you for being on. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.